Okay, it's time to tackle the dance blade fragments and see what I can come up with. All right. Start with the little one first, that way we can get used to it, and then I'll tackle the bigger one. I'll divide this up into 30-minute segments so it can be like the good old days. Yep. This is aluminum 5/8 inch diameter. And this is Georgia Flint River chert, heat treated to 400 degrees for 4 hours or 5 hours, I can't remember. Nice little Arrowhead flake. Yeah, the pocket of limestone might be a problem. I don't know yet. All right, let's see. Let's move this tripod a little bit. All right, the fan is directly on everything. It got hot again today, so it hasn't cooled off yet all the way, you know. What I mean by that is it still gets up into the 90s degrees Fahrenheit. Nice little Arrowhead flake. I do save those, okay? If I don't use them, I sell them, so someone's going to use them. So yeah, I got to get rid of this edge, this really thick, broken edge. I got some glass coming up that I'm going to flint knap. Commercial grade glass. That's coming up pretty soon. There's a gray and a bronze. I got different sizes. I also got a fancy cutter. Glass cutter. Fancy. Oh yes. A lot of stuff is coming in the mail. And I won't even be here all, you know, the whole time. I'm going to be traveling this month and next month. But I won't be away for long periods of time. Coming back to Texas periodically. I know it's a lot of money in gas and stuff, but there's too much to do here. Down here in Texas, the winters here are more productive for me than they are in New England. When I go up to New Hampshire and Vermont, it gets really, really cold, and sometimes you get snowed in, so you can't go nowhere. But I'm staying for at least a month up in New England or somewhere up there. I say somewhere because I can go anywhere I want. Yeah. As long as I got a Walmart. Hate to say it, but it's one of my favorite places to go camping. Oh yeah, as long as they allow you to stay overnight. You got to ask first. They usually let you stay overnight in the parking lot, but sometimes they don't. Then you go, this Walmart's lame, let's go down to the next town and see what they got over there. See if they got a non-lame Walmart over there. and usually they're not all lame. Yeah. Nice pattern in this stuff. Oh yes, very nice, very nice. I just got to be careful when I start to get thin, because it's snap in half type stuff. It does all right when it's thick, you know, you can get all kinds of stuff done, but see, once it starts to get thin, you know, it's dicey. It gets dicey. Yeah, I don't know, man. This is highly unpredictable. So the strategy isn't guaranteed. You know, I can think that I'm going to do a certain thing, and this might not work out. It might not work out to thin this way down like I want to. We shall see. There, I think I got most of that pocket of limestone, right? It's a limestone. It's not too bad right there. I can probably nap through that. If I can keep that bullseye, that'd be neat. That'd be cool, but I don't think I'll be able to keep that in there. I'll nap it away because I'm trying to thin this down. But you never know. It might end up with a little bullseye in there. I have to be very careful about where I hit it. Oh yes. And this is already getting too dimpled. So am I going to use reverse indirect percussion in this video? Nope, not going to. I'm not going to do any reverse indirect notching or use on these two pieces. No. I'm just going to make two small blades. Two smaller, I don't know, why do I say that? Two blades out of this that are smaller than the original, right? Obviously. I'm just going to make two blades and sell them as a set. Yeah. Dense blade blades. That's it. Easy peasy. There's some people that still don't do heat treats. I don't know why. Probably the same people that they got these barbecue recipes where they have to cook something for 12 hours and watch it constantly or keep an eye on it. And experts at cooking. But they can't cook the rocks for some reason. They don't want to. That's because they don't want to. Yeah. I understand. I got ADHD. Supposedly. I understand not wanting to. But if you can cook up a good barbecue but you're not heat treating, your talents of using a cooker are going to waste. Yeah. Heat treat is awesome. You can cook stone so it naps like that after being extremely hard to nap. Yeah, makes a world of difference. Yeah, the only problem is sometimes it's too easy to nap, and you can blow away too much. Make a mistake and take away too much of the material, or step fracture it to death. Gotta be careful not to bite off more than you can chew on this stuff. Try to take off too much, it's easy to mess it up. Some of you can tell how hard I'm hitting by the volume of the hits, the sound that they make, or what the volume is on this. Some of you can't tell, and it may be because the volume goes up and down depending on how the microphone is making it easier on your ears. I notice that when I tap and talk, it messes with the talking volume. I was trying to dampen down the shock of the sudden noise. But the reason I mention that is because not all the hits are the same amount of force. Sometimes you might be thinking I'm hitting hard when I'm not. Sometimes you might be thinking I'm hitting softly when I'm hitting really, really hard. Do I do the thing on this? Voila. I did the thing. So yeah, that one was a medium force. If it was still raw, that would be a lot of force required to do that particular flake. So yeah, I hit opportunistically and I live with what I get. Sometimes I'm experimenting a lot. Sometimes I just do the same old, same old. This is pretty much same old, except I'm trying to be very, very careful. Because I don't want these to break any more than they've already broken. It was a nice big dance blade until I broke it. I don't want to continue to break it, because then I gotta keep going and make little bitty arrowheads. Yeah, no matter what happens, I'm gonna keep going. I'll keep going until I got stuff that's not broken. Go as thin as I can, within reason, within my limits. You know, I announced some of the Knappings coming up, and I noticed that there's not much response on the Knappings. So either most of the people that watch my channel are not nappers, or they're pretty confined to their areas. They're not able to travel, or they're not sociable. Yeah. Not sociable, can you imagine? You guys are not sociable? Just like to work with rocks by yourself? All by yourselves? Or you're just watching this stuff because you like to see people make stuff? I think the majority of people watching this are people who enjoy watching people make stuff. With a little bit of the primitive skills stuff mixed in, because they like to watch specific stuff. Specific to primitive skills mostly. Yeah. I would like to do some different content, but I have to look at the time it takes me to do the different content to the view ratio, the views ratio. The time it takes to do it compared to the number of views that I get. The worst use of my time would be to do something that takes a long time to do but gets very few views. I will do some of that, like the Knapping updates. Very few views compared to the work it takes to do the research on the Knappings. That kind of thing. I'll still do that because I need that also for my own reference. And a lot of times I get people asking, I don't know anybody. What do I do? Well, it just so happens that I made a list. Here you go. I send them the list and I hear crickets. So how'd you like the list? It's good. That's it? Yeah, it's good. That's it? Yeah, I got it. I got the list. Well, yeah, it's got a bunch of Knappings. And, you know, they look cool. And that's it. You were sounding pretty desperate there, and you just said, that's it? Yep. I guess they looked at the flyers and they go, hey, I'm not impressed. I don't know. It seems like the people that are going to go to the Knappings, they already know about them. And the people that want to go to Knappings that don't have any information, once they get the information, they just go, oh, cool. That's it. Yeah. Seems that way. Man, I've traveled many, many hours to go to a Knapping. Both ways. In winter. Even. You know, with slippery roads and stuff. I don't care. Now you can say, is that from dedication or obsession? Let me think about that one. I don't know if I'm qualified to make an assessment on that one. Yeah. That's my excuse. I'm not qualified to make an assessment on my own motives. Nope. I don't go to many nap-ins. And the main reason is because it's just difficult. That's it. You know, if one of my kids needs something and I know they're going to need me to be around for it, and then I take off, I don't enjoy myself if I take off and go somewhere. It's also priorities, right? So yeah, that's it. But anyway, if you want to learn to flint knap, you want free rocks, you want pointers and tips when you're already an experienced napper. Anything napping related, you go to nap-ins and you can find it. They're great. They're really, really good. If you're a flint napper. Now, if you're not a flint napper, the events are kind of weird and they're boring and they're like, okay, we've been here 3 hours, let's go. We already seen everybody. You already seen what they nap and everything, let's go. If you're not into it. Like I've been through that with family and stuff. And I usually just sit there and nap. I don't schmooze or entertain. If you go to a nap-in and I'm there, I'm not that impressive. I'm just sitting there napping most of the time. That's it. I got a microphone and I kid around on camera, but when I'm at a nap-in, I usually just hunker down and nap, and that's it. That's all you get. Yeah. I have tutored people at nap-ins and show them a few things and chat about a few things. Let people know what's good stone and what's not good stone, and show them what's what. But unless you're really into sitting down and napping and focusing on flint napping, the nap-in can get kind of boring because that's what everyone's doing. You hear a bunch of clinking. Everyone's just working the stones, showing their techniques, yip yapping. After hours, yeah, you can get some clowning around after hours. If that's what you want. Oh yes. Everyone's tired. Kind of, sort of. They need to decompress and unwind after all that napping. And they decompress and unwind really good. Oh yes, there's a lot of good decompression and unwindation. Oh yeah. I might just zone out here for a second. This is not easy flaking. When you start to thin down the thin point, you know, if you've been watching the channel, you know this is the most difficult part. I call it stage 3 or the sweat stage, or I don't call it stage 3. Third stage of Flintknapping. You know, first is the preform, and then well, first is the bifacing, then there's the preforming, and then there's the thinning of the thin preform, and then the finishing. So fourth stage is the finishing. If you're into stages, which is fine, you know, it helps to work in stages sometimes. You know, you take a break between each stage, or during, you know, take an intermission. And you got to know when to do it, because it's not really, well, I don't think it's good to just stop right in the middle of a stage. You got to wait till you finish a stage and then break. Take a break, because the mindset slightly changes. So it's easier to change your mindset when you take a break, or it's easier to get back into it where you left off, kind of, sort of. If you got to shift a little bit of your mindset. Yeah, let's see, what am I doing here? I'm trying to thin it down, but it's not working that great. I still got some step fracturing right there in the middle. It's not reaching across the middle in some cases. And I don't want to go thinner. I scooped out way too much on this flake. Yeah, this flake scooped out way too much. I still need to do some of the tip work. I should do the tip work while it's still kind of rounded, because I have a better time with a rounded tip. Oop, dang it. I dropped it on another bite. I dropped my percussion tool on another biface. I got some more bifaces over there. Alright. Let's see if I can thin down this tip first. Not like that. Not like that. Come on. Yeah, see, if I don't get it from one angle, just switch it. What's the angle that you use? Every one of them? No, I mean, what's the angle? Yes. The answer to what's the angle? The answer to that is yes. I use every angle imaginable. A lot of them work. It's not the same one every time. If you think it's the same angle every time, you're a newbie. Yeah, that's a newbie perspective. If you think the angle is the same every time, it's not. Sometimes it's mostly downward force, sometimes mostly inward force, sometimes it's halfway in between. Sometimes it's 17.5% inward and the rest downward. And there's no way of telling. There's no way of measuring it, so I'm just making that number up. But I bet you there's conditions that if you could measure it, that's what it would be. And it's not going to be the same every time either, because the conditions change. The conditions on the surface are different every time, unless you're one of those flake over grind knappers that makes everything consistent. Then yeah, then you can discuss exact angles. If everything is exact, all the surfaces are exact, you can talk about exact angles. If it's irregular like this, I cannot talk about exact angles. And even if I could, and even if you could match it somehow with a device, you got something that's set up that you can tell what the angle is on your side. Even if you had all that, the angles might not work for you because of something weird about the way you're striking it. So you got to tweak it anyway. Yeah, a lot of you want a baseline. What's the baseline? I just want to start from somewhere solid. If I don't have a solid baseline, I'm lost in limbo. You know, I've said that many times. I understand that part. But you're going to have to be lost in limbo for quite some time until you finally get used to it. It's just the way it is. The baseline is whatever works. If you can find something that works, you are getting flakes, that's your baseline. Some guys, when they first start, they can't do anything except pressure. That's your baseline. A lot of these percussion angles and percussion platforms and percussion everything, it's very similar to pressure. It's just on a different scale, with slightly different forces and slightly different grindings, slightly different edges. But it's all pretty much, it's basically all the same with just tweaks. So why can't I give you the things that are the same? Because my same things are not your same things. That's why. My baseline is different from yours. And what works for me in general may cause you to break everything in general. That's why. But then you might say, yeah, well, just leave it up to me. I will decide whether it's good for me or not. Well, you can do that anyway. You're going to do that anyway. That's what I'm trying to tell you. And if there's something that you think you're missing, that it's got to be something simple. What is it? What am I doing that's not right? Why am I not getting it? There's only one word for that. Practice. That's it. That's what you're missing. Yeah, I've watched hundreds of people nap. I've given thousands of hours of advice and assessments and evaluations. And it all comes down to practice. Just don't have enough practice. Yeah, one-on-one tutoring can reduce your amount of practice that you may need. That is true. Watching it on video is one thing, but individual tutoring will save you a lot of time. Yeah. I've had guys that they were doing something totally wrong every single time they would hit. It's hard to describe. Some guys, you can tell that they're like this. They hit and the thing goes up. They hit and it goes up like that. That means they're putting a lot of pressure, or they're doing something. Their subconscious is pulling when they hit. As an example, or they're grinding it, but they're grinding it too much or too little. It looks like they're grinding it the same amount of time that I am, but I look at the edges that they ground it, and they didn't grind it enough, or they ground it too much. And something as simple as that, stop pulling it or stop grinding it the way you're doing it, and it changes everything. Once in a while you'll get a guy that does the snapping at a weird angle, and I have to physically move the workpiece and then physically get the indirect percussion flaker or the bopper in his hand in a certain angle and say, take a snapshot of that, and then that's your baseline. Because some guys are not doing it right. It looks like they start right, but then as they hit, they're either doing this, or they're doing this. They're doing some kind of wrist movement, or they're doing this. Somehow, this is moving like that. Something is off. Yeah. And they don't see it because that's the way they've been doing it for a while. They develop a bad habit in their muscle memory. Yeah. Unfortunately, that does happen. And it takes time to unlearn that stuff after you figured out that, oh man, that's what I'm doing wrong. And I've been doing it for like a year now. It takes time to unlearn it. That does happen. It does not happen very often, but it does happen. I don't see it all that often. Some people are afraid of that, but it doesn't happen to them. So it's rare, so I wouldn't be afraid of that. Of doing something that's totally off. That's rare. I'm trying to think of what else I've seen. I think I've seen guys swing really fast and then they stop just before they hit and slow down. They slow down before they hit. Yeah, I think I've seen that. I don't know why they slow down before they hit, or at least one guy. I think so he wouldn't follow through too much, right? So he would swing and I could see slow down before he hit. No, you've got to hit it and then slow down. You gotta pop those hits. Pop, pop, pop. If you slow down before you reach the striker, or if you're doing direct percussion, it's not gonna work right. It's gotta pop. You gotta pop those flakes off. Pop and peel at the same time. Yeah, it looks like I gotta do the tips on my points with indirect percussion mainly, and just sharpen it with pressure. I've been trying to use pressure to shape tips, and it doesn't work that well for me. Some guys it works beautifully all the time, no problems. But yeah, with me there's a problem. I was afraid of that. See, you start getting too thin and things goof up. That's unfortunate. Come on. I can get that out with pressure, but it's going to reduce the edge quite a bit. And I might have an incipient crack. Dang it. What am I trying to do? I'm trying to thin it as far as I can go. When I start messing up, that's when I know I'm reaching the limit of my ability. The problem is, I don't want to mess up too much. That's the hard thing. That's the hard part. I think that edge is just too way. The material is way too delicate for what I want to do. Dang it. Yeah. It's way too delicate for what I want to do. I want to try to you know, punch in long flakes and, you know, smooth flakes, but it's just too delicate for that. It'll work on tougher material. Higher quality chert that's tougher than this heat treat, because then the edges, they can handle it. That's kind of what I wanted to do. See that? It's still a little bit lumpy. Yeah. All right, I gotta stop messing with it. It's always kind of a disappointment when you reach the limit of your ability. So every napping session is going to be a little bit of a disappointment because you realize where your limit is. It's never a really awesome feeling when you realize where your limit is. I'm blindly taking back the edge because it takes me too long to do it little by little with a pressure flaker, for example. I know I got to take back the edge, so I'm just going to do it blindly and just tap, tap, tap. Whatever happens, happens, and then grind it and work with what I got. Yep. I'm going to start the pressure flaking. I've reached the limit of my thinning ability. I might be able to get a couple more thinning flakes in there to clean things up, but it's pretty thin for the type of material it is. Inconsistent heat treat. It's even kind of delicate for the pressure flaking. Yep. Bye-bye bullseye? I don't know. Maybe. Yeah, it'll probably stay there. Just a little lopsided. I'm going to take some of that off the side there. So 49 minutes. I'm going to take a break and come back to this. I need to get a drink or something. Drink of water, whatever. Yeah, a healthy beverage. Not no junk beverages. No, it'll mess up your Flintknapping. I'm telling you. Can't have any junk beverages. Anyway, okay, I'll continue on the next video. All right.